Welcome to Fine Margins, powered by the Hammer Betting Network. On this show, we go through the weekend slate, typically of EPL fixtures, but with big games across Europe, we also have our eyes on a La Liga fixture, and taking us through it all is our resident soccer betting expert, Paul. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling very good, mate. How are you?
I am doing very well, and viewers of this show are also going to be doing very well because another winning week on this show. We go 2-1 in last week's picks. We have the banker and actually the long shot that come off. Unfortunately, the bet builder just doesn't quite come off. Everton were very, very close to equalizing late against Man United, which would have gotten the win there, but we are moving on. It's always about the next week, as Paul mentioned last week, staying grounded. Are you feeling confident with your picks today?
I've got some interesting picks. Yeah. I'm following a kind of cards and goals angle this week, so we'll see where we go.
Okay, and we are going to get started with the banker. All three picks today. We have our banker, as usual, the bet builder, and the long shot. The banker and bet builder are either tracked to win 100 or we risk 100 to win at plus money. And the long shot will be bet to win 100 because you shouldn't be betting a full unit size on the long shot. So getting into the banker, we start in the Premier League with Brentford, who are hosting Brighton and Hove Albion. What is the play here?
Well, we have to be sharp to get this one on our betting lines this week because it's the Friday night fixture for the Premier League. But I couldn't turn this one down, Jacob, because there's a really interesting card angle and approach here. Brentford and Brighton, two sides actually pretty similar in terms of their money ball philosophies, how they built up their teams, how they generate revenue, how they buy players and then sell them on for significant profits. But actually, two of the teams in the Premier League which are not involved in fouls quite a lot and certainly not involved in the cards market too much. In fact, Brentford are 15th in terms of yellow cards per game in the league, and Brighton are 17th. So we're going to look at a cards angle in particular for this match. I don't want to take this one on the nose because we haven't really worked out Brighton yet. Brand new manager, obviously Graham Potter has went to Chelsea and De Zerbi is in there at Brighton. He's only had 2 games in charge, so we're not quite sure how they're shaping up yet. And Brentford can be really unpredictable at home. They can beat Man United 4-0, but they can also lose very easily to Arsenal with the same team. So we don't want to take this one on in the 1-2x market, but the cards market is very interesting indeed. And if we look at Brentford, 50% of Brentford's home games this match have seen no yellow cards for them, whilst Brighton have only picked up a single yellow card in their last 4 matches. And indeed, in their 4 away matches in the Premier League this season, there's only been a total of 3 yellow cards for them in all of those games. So these guys like to play nice, Jacob, and we're going to try and make some money out of that. So there's a couple of options we could have went for here. Under 3.5 cards in the game does look tempting, but I prefer just to focus on Brighton. Brighton are a team that like to keep the ball. Like I said, don't give away too many fouls and certainly don't give away too many yellow cards, as this season has shown. And we can get plus 110 for Brighton to receive under 1.5 cards in this game, and that's with Bet365. I really like that angle. It would have landed in every single away match that they've played so far this season, and I'm happy to see that run extended into this one. So Brighton under 1.5 cards at plus 110 to get started this weekend.
Yeah, a Brighton team that just loves to be on the front foot. Really love their brand of football. They're a great watch, I think, even with the new manager so far in a very limited spell. He's really keeping with the same sort of philosophies. And I like what you said about Brentford. I actually was going to make my own point about Brentford. You kind of stole it from me. I was going to say they can beat anybody, but they can also lose to anybody. So they're a topsy-turvy team. So I do like this one. Brighton playing nice here in the card market. Will say before I move on to our bet builder, the odds that we showcase on our screen are courtesy of the BetStamp app. You can use the BetStamp app on your phone or go to the web browser betstamp.app to shop for the best lines effortlessly across any of the games that you want to bet on. I would recommend going to visit them before placing any wagers. But we are going to move in now to our bet builder, and this is one of the best fixtures of the weekend, the best in the EPL slate. I mean, it should be, you would think, a top 2 clash, but it isn't right now. Liverpool playing against the high-flying Manchester City. What do we have for this one?
Well, if we want to talk about unpredictable teams, we've got to mention Liverpool in the same breath. This is a team that can beat Rangers 7-1 and beat Bournemouth 9-0, and then can go and lose quite unceremoniously at Arsenal and then draw with Brighton.
Yeah, I want to point out, Liverpool beat Bournemouth 9-0, and Bournemouth currently sit above Liverpool in the Premier League table. With it, Liverpool have a game in hand, but even still, ridiculous stat.
That's crazy, yeah. And you're right. In the last few seasons, this match has been almost pivotal in terms of where the Premier League title would end up. Their results against each other, but given how close they were in terms of points at the end of the season, was virtually deciding the destiny of the title. So I don't think that's going to be the case this season, and I do think that Liverpool do not have their troubles to seek at the moment. If you want to look at this match on a very specific basis, look at leaving the stats, just look at the team news. Liverpool's injury crisis has worsened from last weekend. You're looking at Joe Matip going to be out for a couple of weeks. Trent Alexander-Arnold's going to be out for a couple of weeks. And Luis Diaz, who, in my opinion, has probably been Liverpool's best player this season, he's going to be out until the new year. So we're looking at a far from full-strength Liverpool team against the best team in the world at the moment. And there's no denying that. And probably against the best player in the world at the moment as well, in Erling Haaland. So I wanted to shake things up a little bit. I would not dissuade any listeners from jumping on Erling Haaland again, because he probably will score. But let's try and keep it a little bit more broad and see if we can build something up in this game. If we look just purely at the goals market, and like I say, goals has always served as well, and it definitely served as well with Liverpool last weekend.
Yeah.
75% of Liverpool's matches this season, they've conceded in the first half, which is quite a big number, and it's a problem that's followed them through a lot of games this season, where they've always had to be almost fighting against being 1-0 down from early doors. And if any team's capable of doing it again, it's definitely Man City. So we want to get goals on side, and we want to get first half goals on side. So even looking at something like over 0 goals in the first half gets us off to a good start. But I genuinely can't see anything other than a barrage of goals in this game as well. If you look at the last 5 fixtures between these teams, they went over 2.5 goals. And I just think City themselves have scored 3.66 goals per 90 minutes this season in the Premier League. So they would break the record on their own. It's crazy stuff. And whilst Liverpool will be very shaky at the back, I would probably expect Joe Gomez to fill in at right back, and I would expect Konate to come in alongside Van Dijk. Andy Robertson looks like he might be fit to play left back, as he came off the bench against Rangers in midweek in the Champions League. It's still a patched up back line, and then you're looking at Diaz being missing from the attack as well. It's a Liverpool team that can attack, and I would always back them to score on home turf, but I just can't see them keeping a clean sheet in this game. So if we get goals over 2.5 goals on side, and we get over 0 goals in the first half, that almost takes us to an odds against selection, but we'll just tack on something else a little bit extra. 19th and 20th in the card markets this season are Liverpool and Man City. In fact, Manchester City have only been yellow carded 5 times in 9 Premier League matches, which is insane. Wow. For reference, Nottingham Forest have been booked 27 times in 9 matches, right? So it's a gaping chasm. But interestingly, Liverpool have only been booked 8 times in their 9 matches, so they're a team that don't get booked a lot either. So we'll play ultra conservative, and if we go under 6 cards in the match, because I am expecting it to be a feisty affair, but these are just teams that they don't really get involved in that physical battle. Over 0 goals in the first half, over 2 goals in the match, and under 6 cards in the match gets us to plus 105 with Bet365. And I think those 3 things look pretty nailed on to happen, and we're getting odds against for it. So I really like those selections.
Yeah, goals markets with City, of course, they score a ton of goals. Liverpool seem to have a good attacking force, but defense has been very problematic, rather surprisingly, especially if they have some of the key players like Joel Matip out for this one, and Joe Gomez from very early on in his career when there was a lot of promise. A lot of that is starting to fade away, and Liverpool fans I feel like Liverpool fans are starting to turn on him. So back in the goals, conservative with the cards. I like what we have for this one as well. We'll track $100 to win here, 105 on the plus 105 odds. And let's move in now to our third one. But we'll remind you guys that we are showcasing this show right now on the Hammer Soccer YouTube channel. Also on this channel on Mondays is the Back 3 hosted by Mark O'Hare, where Mark will be giving you his best 3 Champions League bets for that match week. So if you want more soccer betting content, check out the Hammer Soccer, or on your favorite podcast platform, search the Back 3. But with that, let's move into our final biggest game of the weekend across the world, and we have a long shot because we want to enjoy watching this one. Reminder, the long shot bets, don't put a ton of money on this, just have a little bit of fun, and we want to have a ton of fun watching El Clasico at the Bernabeu, Real Madrid hosting Barcelona. What do we have in store for this? I'm excited to hear this one.
So if you want me to reveal some of my trade secrets to the group, mate, the two things that I usually look at are obviously the stats and precedent building around about a fixture, but crucially more than anything, team news. And team news is a major factor for this one. Because if you look at Barcelona's statistics this season defensively, they've only conceded 1 goal in the Liga all season. But that does not match up with two things. It doesn't match up with their expected goals, which shows they should have conceded a hell of a lot more than that. Mm-hmm. And it also doesn't match up with the fact that they have got an injury crisis of biblical proportions in their defence. If anybody saw the Inter match, the famous Inter match on Wednesday night, which was thrilling to watch, but was a disastrous result for Barcelona, you watched Gerard Piqué and Eric Garcia pretending to be defenders for most of that second half. And given the fact that Hector Bellerin, Ronald Araujo, Andres Christensen, Marcus Alonso, the list goes on. These guys are all going to be injured for this match, which means that the patchwork defence that Barca put out in that game is largely going to be the same one that's going to face one of the most potent attacks in world football. So we're probably looking at a patched up Barca defence, massively impacted by that terrible result against Inter, which means that they're effectively out of the Champions League and all the financial ramifications that's going to bring to the team. I'm really looking at Real Madrid to inflict even more damage on this Barcelona team this weekend. Kick them when they're down is the philosophy I think they'll take to this one. And again, it's a fixture that gives goals. The last five outings between these two have went over 2.5 goals as well. A lot of attacking talent on the pitch, not so much defensive talent, you might say. Real Madrid do have good defenders, but they do concede quite a lot. Concede regularly in the Liga, at least 1 goal in every match that they play. So I think the play here is always goals, but also I think we have to get Real Madrid on side for this one. I was looking at various other markets and permutations where we can try and work something out, but I just look at this Real Madrid team and I see a team, and I look at Barcelona at the moment and I see, quite frankly, a bit of a mess. I see a midfield that's still trying to mature in the form of Gavi and Pedri, who will be exceptional players but aren't quite there yet. I see an attack which changes week to week at the moment, with the only constant being Lewandowski, but they just aren't getting the ball to him enough. And the aforementioned defensive problems, like that, the back four that played on Wednesday night, not any Barcelona fan in their wildest dreams could imagine that that's the back four they'd have to field in such a key Champions League match. So I look at even Karim Benzema. His form has not been great for Real Madrid this season. But if you look either side of him, Rodrigo was really starting to find his game. Vinicius has looked fantastic. Yeah. And then whatever permutation that Madrid play in midfield, whether it be Kroos, Modric, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, even Federico Valverde, who's played so well this season, it's just a better unit. It's just a better offensive unit, defensive unit, and I like Madrid in every capacity. And I'm quite surprised at the prices we can get them for in this one. So I would go for goals, and I would also go for Real Madrid to win the match. And Real Madrid in over 3 goals in the match pays out a whopping, give me one sec, plus 450 with Bet365, which I'm really quite surprised that you're getting a price as high as that for a fixture that delivers so much goals and a Real Madrid team which, quite frankly, are better than Barcelona at this moment in time. So that's the pick to enjoy on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and I watched that disaster that Barcelona had against Inter Milan, where Barcelona really needed to win, but the defense wasn't up to scratch. I believe you've made comments on Eric Garcia in the past. I'm also convinced he is not quite up to the level of what Barcelona require. And the drop-off from Koundé and Araujo when they play for Barcelona, sharp decline when you go to Garcia and Piqué and Inter Milan. By the way, a struggling Inter Milan side, might I add. Yeah. If they were able to expose Barcelona in such capacity, well, you could call them the kings of Europe here, Real Madrid. They could probably do a number of them as well.
Questions have to be asked about how a team can have so many defenders injured simultaneously. Like they've got an entire back four sitting out, and I just can't see a situation where Barcelona keep a clean sheet. But this is what I'm saying about team news versus stats. The stats show that Barca are pretty good defensively, but not with this defensive unit. And I think that's going to be where the odds in this one are probably priced a little bit wrongly.
Okay, and like you said, part of that is going to be largely as a result of only conceding 1 goal in the league probably this season, but you dive deeper, as Paul has done for us here, you find the insight you might need for your betting edge. So creative as ever to find the right bets to make. We've had a lot of success in this show. We want to try and keep everything going. It's all about the next week. Let's find some winners here tonight. If you enjoyed this episode, like the video on YouTube, follow on podcast, subscribe on the YouTube for this show every Friday, and you can also check out the Back Three with Marco Hare on Monday. We'll see you next week. We have some big things coming for the World Cup as well. You want to stay tuned. We'll see you again next time.